It's pulp, like...
Okay, no.
I understand. Alright? Opa, como é você? Aqui quem fala é seu host Anderson Palma, aqui pelo Growth Box, o nosso novo podcast para falar sobre tudo a respeito de crescimento. O que a gente está fazendo aqui é tudo crescimento, na tua carreira, na tua vida, em toda a jornada do teu cliente também. Esse podcast está sendo agora iniciado para a gente começar a falar sobre crescimento e eu tenho uma figura fantástica para falar com vocês. Eu estou aqui com o meu amigo Tim Ash. Hello, Tim!
Boa tarde, my friend.
Boa tarde.
It's great to be back in Brazil.
Yeah.
This is my ninth year in Brazil.
Ninth year in Brazil.
I keynoted at e-commerce forum Brazil here in Sao Paulo in 2013. Yeah.
Amazing. Eu vou falar um pouquinho mais em português, depois a gente volta para lá, tá? Mas o Tim é o papa do CRO, da otimização de conversão. Esse cara é, sem sombra de dúvidas ali, ó, tá no top 1 dos caras que mais entendem de otimização de conversão. Já ajudou empresas aí como o Google, como o Facebook, a trazer crescimento através de otimização de conversão, de melhoria nas páginas, e ele entende muito também de uma outra coisa, que é psicologia. Inclusive, esse é um dos assuntos que a gente vai tratar aqui hoje, que a gente vai falar sobre o seu novo livro, que é A Mentira da Racionalidade, desmistificando o nosso modo de pensar e por que agimos como agimos, que é esse livro aqui, bonitão do Tim Ash, que ele vai autografar aqui pra gente. Aliás, ele vai autografar um aqui pra mim, que é meu, e vai autografar mais um que a gente vai sortear pra galera aqui. Depois eu falo um pouquinho mais sobre isso, vai ser do caramba. Tim, amazing, really amazing to have you here. We are real happy. This is
Muito obrigado,
a dream coming true, really. Amazing. So, just for starters, let's talk a little bit about you're coming to Brazil. What are you doing here?
Wow. Well, this trip is very, very busy. As I mentioned, I've been to Brazil since 2013. I think this is my 7th or 8th trip. This one is very busy. I taught some guest lectures at PUC for their online classes. Right. There's a small class in person, but then I think they have like 80,000 online students. So it was mostly for the people in the MBA, growth, neuromarketing programs. And now I'm here in Sao Paulo. I got my hands on the physical copy of my new book, the Portuguese one. The English one has been out a few months, and I think the Russian one is next in October, and then the Chinese one in next spring.
Gosh.
So
you're keeping busy, right?
Yeah, promoting the book, and then I'm going to be keynoting at the Tracto show next week.
Paulo.
Yeah.
I love the guy. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I've been there actually giving a speech a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the place, like the energy there, it's amazing. Really amazing. You're going to like it. You're going to love it.
And also the warm water.
Warm water.
Yeah.
I don't know. O que você acha, Marco? A água vai estar quente ali nesse momento, nessa época do ano em Maceió? Vai?
Com certeza.
O Marco entende demais, né? O cara veleja. So amazing. And tell me, well, the first thing I want to talk about is about Brazil. It's a quite obvious question, but I want to say, how do you like Brazil?
I love Brazil. I feel at home here. I was born in the Soviet Union and what's now Russia and Moscow, and I would say like the souls of the Brazilian people and the Russian people are very similar. So I'm less like an American and I'm more at home in Brazil.
It's weird, isn't it? Like I've been a couple of times also to the US and the energy doesn't quite match sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
But like we've met like just once before this one. And like we're like old friends. It's amazing. It's so good, good. Tell me another thing about here in Brazil. We see like a huge. Let's talk about CRO, right?
Okay.
We see like a huge difference when we look at a website or a landing page that's done in Brazil and another one done in the US.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the US the landing pages they seem kind of crude, you know, like they're straight to the point, and you don't see that here in Brazil. You see like the whole design stuff. They try to maximize it, and I don't know if that's to the point or not. What do you think are the real differences between cultures when you see landing pages here in Brazil and over there in the US and around the globe as well, because you have experience, like, I don't know, maybe in China is totally different, but I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you see that?
Well, I ran my agency. I stepped out of an active role in it called Site Tuners for almost 20 years, and we worked, like you mentioned, with the Nestle's, Expedias, Googles, Facebooks of the world. And one of the things that I found is that you want to focus on the things that are universal. So we created $1.2 billion in value for our clients, and most of that was due to these neuromarketing principles that affect all people. So culture does matter, but I think in terms of motivating people, understanding their values, how you get them to act. As you know, I've written a couple of books on landing page optimization and ran the conversion conference here in the US and in Europe also for about 10 years. And the things that work are the common things, the things that all of us share. So it's not so much about the differences in culture. It's about how to persuade, and you're always persuading the brain, and the brain is the same everywhere.
So it's not about the green button versus the blue one.
No. If I had a HEI for every time I heard that, which is better, the blue button or the green button, then I'd be retired. We wouldn't even be talking right now. I'd be on my island, you know.
Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. But that's all stupid stuff. I have to say, CRO, unfortunately, conversion rate optimization, is now, all the testing tool vendors are making money off of it. So they say CRO is about test velocity, how many tests you do, and they're testing stupid stuff. To me, CRO is much more wide. It's about strategy. It's about understanding your audience. It's about your business model. It's about your customer service. To me, all of that is optimization, not just stupid green button, blue button stuff.
Which kind of falls into the growth hacking stuff that we see around,
Absolutely,
right? But I've seen people say a lot of bullshit about that as well. You know, like I work with that. Like I have a consultants for that, and I've seen it. Most people just go and, hey, you got to do that, and that's growth, that's CRO. What's the difference for you?
Well, the difference is, I once worked for a big company in the U.S., and they said, well, CRO is just a swim lane, like in a pool, you have different lanes. So there's CRO, there's SEO, there's SEM. It's just a swim lane. And I said, that's really stupid. CRO is a strategic advantage. And the way you can tell if a company is doing it right is, where does the CRO report in the organization? If it doesn't report to the executive level, you're doing it wrong, because you should have the political protection of high executives to do whatever needs to be changed, instead of just moving things around on the page. If you're doing that, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You're going to do 2-3 tests, you're going to improve performance, and then nothing is going to get better because that page is optimized. Now what are you going to do?
So you have nothing else to do, and
because you only have so many pages that have high value and high traffic. And once you've optimized those little entry points, that's not CRO. So to me, it's looking for value in other places. I'll give you an example. We had one client that was online and also telephone sales, about 50-50. So their telephone people were really good at understanding the products, very expensive products that they sold, but they weren't trained in sales. So we brought in a sales team to train them for 1 week. And then their phone sales went up 15%. Their web sales didn't change at all, but that 15% phone sales was many millions of dollars to them. So to me, that's optimization.
That's optimization.
Improving your email sequences, improving your content marketing to match the customer journey. That's all optimization. Changing your business model maybe to something subscription-based. Like, you have to have the ability to do all of those things if you're going to really make an impact.
So you're talking about the conversion rate around the whole company. I mean, like, could financial areas work with CRO as well?
They better, because they're the ones that need to be talking about business intelligence and cohorts and lifetime value, and what you're trying to do is maximize the whole value of the relationship, not just whether somebody pushes the stupid button.
Amazing, amazing. It's real good to hear that, because normally we don't see actually people here from CRO talking about stuff that's more deep than just push a few buttons over there.
Yeah.
But one thing that I step over that, but I want to know, who is Tim Ash? I know we passed that, but I want to hear that from you. Talk about you. Who are you and what have you done? Because I'm asking this now because we're talking about who is the person behind these ideas, and I think that CRO should be much more than it's treated like.
Yeah.
We have to have this idea. We have to know who we're talking with.
Of course, my friend. Well, so I've actually came to University of California, San Diego, and I studied cognitive science and computer engineering, and then I stayed there for 7 years in the PhD program. But I'm a quitter. I didn't finish. And I studied neural networks, or what's now called artificial intelligence and machine learning. And then I started, after working at many large companies, my own digital marketing agency in 1995, before most of your audience was born, I think. But
sure.
So I'm one of the old guys. And then we drove traffic. We did a lot of pay-per-click automation in terms of bidding on pay-per-click traffic.
Yeah.
We created a tool for what was then GoTo or Overture, and then it was called Yahoo Search. Basically, the first bid management tool for pay-per-click marketing on their platform. And then we became kind of a super affiliate and started using our own money to drive traffic. And then we realized that the landing pages were really bad. So we said, let us fix your landing pages, and then we all make a lot more money. And so we sold off all of our affiliate stuff, all of our pay-per-click management, and started focusing only on CRO. So that was the basis for my company, Site Tuners, in about 2000. So I wrote a couple of best-selling books on it, as well as starting the Conversion Conference, which was the first international conference series that wasn't tied to any vendors. We have it. It still goes on every year in the U.S., in Germany, in England. So I learned a lot about conversion rate optimization by making a lot of mistakes.
You gotta make mistakes because otherwise you are not gonna try, right? You have to put everything to work, so you know what works and what doesn't.
And again, what works is all the durable stuff, all of the neuromarketing, the universal principles. And so I kind of came back to my first love. I mentioned I studied cognitive science and the brain, and then I applied it to marketing, made a lot of money for our clients. And now with this book, I'm back to talking about what I really love, which is the brain, how we really think, persuasion. So I'm not involved in my agency anymore. I sold off my share in the company, the conference company as well. And so basically right now I'm focused on executive consulting with senior marketing executives, keynote speaking, and of course the new book.
Well, that's amazing.
So that's the short version of the long version.
But you gotta tell us, you're Russian you were born. Come back to me. You were born in Russia.
Yes. Well, actually in the Soviet Union, in the country that no longer exists. I was born there, and my family emigrated. We weren't sure where we were going to go. We could have ended up in Israel or Australia or Canada or the U.S. Those were the 4 countries that were taking refuge.
How old were you?
I was 8 years old.
8 years old.
So my parents were very brave. They wanted a good life for us, and my father had an uncle in the U.S., and he got him on the phone and said, we're thinking of going to Canada. And my uncle said, no, come to America. I'll take care of everything.
Oh, amazing.
So that's how that decision got made. Otherwise, I would be a Canadian.
Amazing.
That means I would be a much nicer person, by the way. Canadians are very nice people.
I heard. I mean, I know a few Canadians, and they're real nice. But anyways, and then you end up doing CRO, and from that you are doing public speaking, but also helping a few companies. What is the main challenge that companies normally have that you face whenever you are coming to this company to help the leaders over there?
Well, there one I've already mentioned, which is that the CRO people aren't allowed to make any meaningful decisions. They say, okay, we have this style guide for our brand and for our messaging, and here's our CRM platform and how we produce the content and how we maintain our website. So there are all these limitations that are put on the CRO people. Right. They don't really have any authority. And that's why, like I said, the first thing I look at is, where does CRO report in the organization?
Yeah, again, I asked you before about this whole thing between growth and CRO, but the main reason why I asked you that is because when I see some companies working with CRO, they don't give a chance to them, and for me, at least, normally what I do is to separate companies, separate the company. So I have one side of the company which is doing promising, and the other one delivering. Yes. And when you are looking at promising, I separate that as well in two parts. One that is doing implementation and the other one doing experimentation.
Yes.
And this kind of helps a lot, at least, understanding the roles of everyone over there. But I don't know, how do you do?
I think of it, so for me, the biggest disconnect is whether the company, how internally focused is the company? Because everyone has a responsibility. You have marketing, you have sales, you have production, whatever, manufacturing. Yeah. Who is caring about the customer? There is no voice of customer inside the company. So my biggest thing is, who has the power to say, no, from the customer's perspective, this is stupid. Okay, and so who cares about the customers? That's my first question.
Yeah, and that's a great question, actually, because everything is related to the customer, right?
Yes.
Without the customer, you don't live.
No, without the and so to me, marketing and growth is very, very simple. It's 3 steps. Okay?
Right.
Step 1, identify a very narrow, specific audience. Most brands, they try to stretch. They try to say, oh, we're like Sony or Coca-Cola or Apple. Everybody needs what we have. That's bullshit. You need to find a very narrow audience. Yeah, because right now you don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to build a brand like that anymore, and things are moving so fast. So you want to have a small audience, and then you need to understand their values. You need to understand their beliefs. You need to understand what those people care about. Because we think like our company and our solution, that's the center of their world. It's not. The center of their world is here. We're here somewhere on the side of their world, and maybe sometimes they think about us. Okay, so you really need to find that center of gravity. Where do they live? Where do they talk to each other? What do they care about? What are their beliefs? And only then can you design the right products and business models and messaging to talk to those people.
Perfect.
And instead, right now we have this stupid stuff we're a product-led company. That means we're going to pivot and scrum and change things and build the minimum viable product and take that piece of shit and put it on the table and say, oh, do you want to buy this? Well, no, I don't, because it's product-led. Yeah. It needs to be customer-led.
Perfect. That's amazing. You said something that about PLG. That's controversial. Just like product-led growth, because people are just like, I see that like for a good while, things start to change, So before growth, we're talking about CRM, right? Everyone was talking about CRM.
Yeah.
And then we migrate to growth. And then from growth, we're starting to talk about product-led growth because growth is not enough.
I'm sorry, I don't even believe in product-led growth at all. Okay, to me, it's a sickness. Okay, it's a sign of like we're so smart, we're going to design something that everybody needs, and I don't think so. I think you need to go to people and ask, what are your problems? Let me dig around in your pain, and maybe I can help solve a small part of that. It's the humility to say, I am not my customer, because very rarely are the people designing the products the same as the target audience.
Yeah, but we keep trying to push things over, like, hey, you gotta eat this, it's the right thing for you.
Yeah.
And that's the right or wrong approach for you.
No, it's the wrong approach. What you want to do is, like, again, in a world where it's very hard to get people's attention, let's start that, okay, because we have so many things that want to compete for our attention, you need to not scream at people with the megaphone, say you need to do this is the right thing for you. You need to take them where they are and bring them in and attract them to you. And the only way to do that is to stand for something. So you have to have a very narrow focus, have a point of view, and say, look, we were out there in the world, there were problems, we worked for many years to overcome them, and now we want you to join our crusade. We want you to come with us. We believe in you. We're like you. It has to be a magnet that attracts the audience. It can't be a megaphone that screams at the world.
Yeah, it's a total different approach, right?
Completely. It's I believe everybody's doing it backwards, and that's why they often fail.
Yeah, and well, when we talk about the consumer, we understand, of course, we have to serve them. Right. Mm-hmm. So
well, we say that's we're customer focused, but what does that mean? How much money did you put behind it? What are you doing? If you're doing again A/B split testing, that's not customer focused. When was the last time you got out of your department instead of talking in the same bubble to your teammates and actually talk to a freaking customer? When was the last time that you talked to a customer your product? That's a good question to ask. I know a lot of organizations, if they're smart, they for example, will have everybody in the company one day a year sit in on their customer service call center. Because if you want to really know what your customers think, they think you're shit. And if you, for a full day, you listen to that and you understand that they think they're shit, you have no illusions about that. Everybody needs to hear that message, okay? But that's also where the good stuff comes from. Some of the best marketing copy my agency ever wrote wasn't written by us. We just took customer comments, and that's what was the marketing copy, because in their own words is about their own problems. You want to get as close to the customer as you can. So being customer focused doesn't mean figuring out the return on ad spend of your pay-per-click campaign. It doesn't.
No, I think you're totally right. But how do you think a consumer he decides he decides to buy that product in specifics? Like he goes for that product. Why he goes for that product? What is bringing him into that direction? What do you think?
So you bring up a great point. So we focus on how do we get them to act, and again, the idea is that CRO is like getting them to push the blue button or the green button. It's not. What we really need to do is consider the whole customer journey.
Okay.
And most companies have this disease, I call it greedy marketer syndrome. Like they want to get the money at the bottom of the sales funnel, right? So buy now, free trial, buy now, give me your money. But they're ignoring the top of the funnel. And so you have to, once you figure out what your audience segments are, you need to have a customer journey map that says, okay, for the early stage people that don't even know what they want, we have some educational materials. For the mid-stage people that are comparing different options, we have materials. And of course, for the late-stage people that want to try it or buy it, we have ways for them to act. But if you ignore the top of the funnel and you ignore the early stages of the customer journey, it's much more expensive to compete for the people at the bottom of the funnel at the point of decision. So for example, like if you sell cars or you sell mattresses, that's something that people only buy every 5 years or 10 years, right? New mattress. So the mattress companies have to do television advertising all the time because they don't know when you're going to buy a mattress, right? But you, if you're a smart marketer, can start with that early part of the customer journey. You could have downloadable guides. It's like, thinking about getting rid of your mattress, here's how you should decide if your mattress is too old. Okay, that's helpful to somebody earlier in the process. And once you have the right to communicate with them and they've opted into really good content marketing that supports the whole customer journey, then you win because you're communicating with them and everybody else is buying their attention at the very bottom of the funnel.
Which is like hell, right? Because
it's expensive and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, so again, focus on the customer.
Education is cheaper then.
Yeah, but the whole customer journey, get the right to communicate with them early in the process, even if you can't sell anything to them. So for example, we were working with an educational institution, a college that focused on single mothers that were returning to the workforce, okay, and they wanted to upgrade their education. So we created a piece of content. The Single Parent's Guide for Going Back to College. Now, I know one thing is like if you download that, I know who you are.
It's right in your face, right?
And do you think that my email marketing after that it can be focused very much better?
Yeah,
of course,
that's amazing.
And then also I'm giving you useful information, and I've become a trusted partner. And you're still at the top of the funnel. You haven't decided whether to go back to school or which school to go to or what degree to get, and you haven't decided to enroll at the college either. Okay, so I'm helping you at the very top of the funnel, even though I can't make money off of you in that moment. And most companies ignore that, and that's stupid.
So, do you know the 5 levels of awareness from Eugene Schwartz, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that works really for any market? We can try to talk to the person like who's unaware and try to unleash something out of it and make he understand that he has really a pain, or
well, I see that as coercive. I see that as trying to convince somebody or something.
Exactly.
And what I see, if a well-designed online experience is saying, okay, you don't know whether should I go back to school if I have a kid?
All right.
Okay, that's probably a question people are asking.
Yeah.
Have a good definitive guide to that. It could be a video guide. It doesn't have to be downloadable or anything. And interrupting a video and a few seconds in or a couple of minutes in asking for an email to continue to watch the rest of it. Again, that's a really good way to get the right to communicate with somebody. And so once they've gone through that, what you want is a micro conversion. And it's not to sell them. It's not to take this big jump 10 meters and over this cliff and then end up on the other side. No, it's a small little step that says, okay, now that what is the best kind of degree to get with my background? That might be the next question I have. Do you see? So now I want information about that. Okay, now I know salary expectations. I know what kind of background I have to get the degree and so on. So you're just taking a little step, small, tiny steps. Don't expect them to just say, buy now and give you their money, okay? They won't do it.
That's just like going to a bar and asking someone that you don't know, hey, would you marry me?
Would you sleep with me? No, like first buy me a drink maybe, okay? So,
something, you don't have to be that pushy, right?
Exactly, and all of us marketers have this disease, greedy marketer syndrome.
Amazing. Real good. When we are talking more about that, of course, we see that people tend to communicate, like you said, not to a niche, but to everyone. And that's the reason why it's so generic.
Yes.
It's so, like, bland, you just, hey, this is a mobile phone, just buy it.
Yeah.
And you have nothing to say. But when and how do you perceive the moment that you're gonna say, hey, buy this? When is the moment after you introduce yourself and you both know each other? Like a company is like one person trying to sell to the other. And when exactly is the time to go and ask for something, in your opinion? Because you don't want to go to that bar and say, hey.
Well, so this is based on, and I talk about this in my evolutionary psychology book. People are very cooperative, and and people are very cooperative, and they want to focus on reciprocity. That's a very important principle. So
people call that,
you give me something, and then I give you something in return. Okay.
Right.
So again, by doing content marketing and by addressing the whole top of the funnel, you're giving people gifts. Here's a good educational guide. Here's a video about how to find the best flooring material for remodeling your house. Should I get wood or tile or a carpet? That's not an easy decision for someone doing remodeling their house. So give me a guide to decide what kind of flooring material I need, okay?
Right.
So again, what you're doing is you're giving them a gift, and it's often the gift of information or education and stuff like that. So here's the thing we know about gift giving. Giving someone a gift means that they are obligated to give you something of equal or greater value back. That's what human society is built on. So give gifts of educational materials, of free trials, whatever you can, of early access or to something that like VIP sales, for example, like that. That's a gift. I get to go to the sale before things sell out, a day before everybody else.
Right.
And so if you give people a gift, this is the key. They can't help it. They're obligated to give you something of greater or equal value back.
That's amazing. But some people, they try to do like content marketing in a way that it doesn't look like a gift. It looks more like a bribe. I'm pretty sure you have seen something like that.
Yeah. You mean like discounts and things like that?
Yeah, but even an ebook, like when you're given, hey, like the guy will ask for a form in which there are 10 questions, so he can download something, and then it doesn't feel like you.
Okay, so that's a really important point. So first of all, two things. Yeah. One is the content has to be world class. When you say it's the definitive guide to something, it really needs to be. It can't be some bullshit 3-4 page thing that's basically marketing materials.
Right.
So you have to have the mentality of making durable content pieces that are going to last a long time and be downloaded by people or consumed by people, and you have to make it really, really good. So you can't have shit content. Okay, perfect. That's number one. The other thing you were talking about, though, is the gating of the content. How much information should you ask for before, to get it? I once had, I was on Adobe's website, and they had, ironically, a white paper about how to make CRO more effective, and they had 13 fields in the form.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, 13 fields. Like, what company do you work for? What industry? How many employees? So then they know what to do with your lead. And I told them, I'm not a marketing qualified lead. I just want your stupid white paper. By the way, it did turn out to be stupid and very bad, but 13 fields on the form. So the way to think about gating content is very simple. It's kind of an upside down U shape.
Okay.
So basically at the beginning, ask for nothing, because you don't have the right to ask for information. Just give me. Like if I asked you, if let's say I wanted to download a guide, what is the minimum of information you need for me to download the guide?
Maybe the name and an email.
Shit. You're a greedy marketer.
I am.
Why do you need a name or an email? What did I just say? What is the action? Download a guide. Give me the damn guide. You don't need to ask me anything. Okay, now in the last page of the guide it says, hey, for a free demonstration or to talk to a consultant, come here. Oh, we need to talk to you. So now I need your email, I need your name, I need your telephone, because we're going to set up an appointment. So you do it through progressive disclosure. You do it when you need it, right? So we worked, for example, with a company that sold hearing aids, and they had a great downloadable guide, right?
Yeah.
But the next step was to get a hearing test nearby. And so for that, you need my location, you need how to contact me, schedule the appointment. So giving up the information. Think about it. I have in my original landing page optimization book, I have this, what I call the form field test. It's a 2-part question on whether you should have a form field on a form. Yeah. And the question is this information absolutely necessary to complete the current transaction? And if you can't answer yes to both parts of that, the field shouldn't be on the form. Why are you asking? Because it's nice to have? Because you're going to use it in a predictive model? Because your salespeople are going to sell me something? Don't ask for information you don't need. So at the beginning, don't ask for information. In the middle, you can ask for information. At the end, again, don't ask for information. That's what the inverted U shape is, because at the end, you want to get out of my way and have me transact.
That's all about empathy, right? It's all about empathy. Mm-hmm. So if you can really try to understand, to put yourself in someone else's shoes, gosh.
So again, the focus is always on the customer and understanding them.
Amazing. You see, like, it seems simple, but when you are inside a company, normally you don't have that choice, because people are going to push you so you can push people, and how would you...
Well, I know we're in the Growth Box podcast, but I want to say a word about growth, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, we're on a planet that has limited resources. In a way, like I'm getting a little disillusioned with growth. Everyone's talking about growth, hyper-growth, growth hacking,
Same here.
CRO. We're basically saying, like, we're a cancer that's going to eat the whole planet, and there's a climate crisis, and we're going to kill ourselves because we want to grow faster. I think actually we should be talking about sustainability. How do we soft land capitalism and have a planet that's still around, you know.
How do you like
that's my philosophical.
No, but I think that's cool, especially because even at Growth Labs, which is my company,
right.
we're even talk about that, you know, because like it's growth. We are talking about growth, but we are talking about sustainable growth.
Yes.
Because it's not just about, hey, let's grab money and spend there and make things happen. Because once you do that, you can see that right now, you know, like this whole crisis stuff, it's making people think twice. People are not opening their pockets like they used to. So most companies are doing layoffs right now, especially because they were meant to do growth in a moment where they weren't prepared to do that.
Yeah.
You know, like I really think that we should focus on sustainable growth.
And I think we should focus on serving the needs of a particular audience.
That's even better.
Okay? It's not even about sustainable growth. It's really understanding your audience and saying what other needs can we fulfill for them. So it's not about number of revenue or growth and that. It's more about share of wallet. How many more of your needs can I take care of as long as you're here?
Yeah.
Because we have a trusted relationship. And so you trust me to do more things for you. So it should be about not growth in number of customers. It should be growth in share of wallet. It should be growth in serving me better.
That's real good. That's real good. There's that model that you use for a sales funnel that talk about 3 moments: awareness, feeling, and action, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you see that being used as well as a growth model or an empathy-based model for communicating with customers instead of using other models?
There's the traditional sales funnel, of course, developed by San Elmo in 1908. So that's 114 years ago. Okay, so awareness, interest, desire, and action, and sometimes you add another letter to it, which is satisfaction. Yeah. So it's ADAS because they have to be satisfied after the sale or the transaction, and that assumes kind of a linear process. And there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, the point when I say customer journey, you can map it out by those stages. What do I want to... I don't even know what I don't know. That's the awareness stage, right? Oh, that looks interesting. That's the interest stage. Oh, building desire for it and comparing things or customizing it. Then there's the action stage. So the model is basically correct, but the way to work on the model is to understand, again, the psychology of your audience. Because I can tell you the same story, and I talk about this in the book as well, and you're going to have a very different reaction based on your audience. Let's try this right now, okay? Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a story, and we can record this with a video camera. So this is no objective reality. So the matador steps into the arena, and the bull charges him. And the matador moves his cape to the side, and as the bull is going by, he takes his sword and he sticks it between the bull's shoulder blades, killing it instantly by hitting its heart, okay? Now that's something we can record with a video camera. Now let's say you lived in Spain and you were a big fan of bullfighting. What is the moral of that story? Well, it's based on your values. So the moral has to do with things like discipline. It has to do with tradition. It has to do with skill. It has to do with overcoming powerful forces and not being afraid, right? So all of these basically positive qualities, right? Yeah. What if your audience were people from PETA, people for the ethical treatment of animals, that try to protect animal rights? They would think the moral of this story is about cruelty, it's about torture, it's about murder, it's about people paying money to watch this, and it should be stopped immediately, right? So my point is, unless you have a very narrow audience and you know what their values are, you don't even know how stories or offers or messaging are going to affect them. So you really need to get to understand your audience and their values. And that's why you can't have a brand that's too wide, because then the stories you tell are boring and no one cares, and they won't sign up for your crusade. They won't follow you,
Yeah, there's a lot of it in the book called Tribes, right? And we see this whole thing about communities. Mm-hmm. How do you see communities coming There's that as well, community growth.
Yeah.
I don't know why they keep doing that. It's not me, all right? It's not me. But there's this whole thing like every fucking turn you get something about growth and you just insert that. But how do you see community as a way of bringing in customers and making things happen as well for the world? Like you say, you have to have a stand, right? You have to think for yourself and say, that's what I stand for.
You're right. So most companies, again, unless you're already a big brand and you're established, need what I call an origin myth, a story about why their company exists. Right. Has to be tied to their larger purpose. Again, if you say, I'm a product-led company, I say bullshit. If you say I'm a sales-led company, bullshit. Growth, again, bullshit.
Again,
growth is just cancer. Again, it just means things growing too fast until the host dies. Okay, right. Congratulations. You have, okay, so what is your purpose? And if you don't have a purpose as a company, and also as an individual, like I have a personal mission statement, but as a company, if you don't have a purpose, then why would somebody follow you? So you have to have a story, like I said, knowing your audience, that tells your origin myth, why you exist. And often it's in the form of what I call the hero's journey. This is a well-understood story form. Joseph Campbell talks a lot about it, and the power of myth and others. But basically every story ever told is about something being okay, a crisis, resolving the crisis, and then things being different but okay again. Okay. The reason that works, and I have a whole storytelling chapter in the book as well, is that one of the reasons we communicate stories is because stories help us to know more information about the world. So if I told you, if you go down this road and you go around those trees, there's a bear there. Okay, is that useful information to you?
Definitely, right?
Did you need to find out the hard way that there's a bear?
No fucking way.
Right. So the stories help us figure out how to deal with problems and give us information and so on. And they also reinforce cultural values of our tribe. And so storytelling is very important. So you have to create the story of, the world was okay, then something bad happened, and I worked very hard for many years on my team and my company, and we had unexpected allies, and then we slayed the dragon, and then the world was good again, okay? Yeah. And now I want to bring this to the whole world, and you need to follow me. If you're in this tribe, follow me. So unless you have that kind of intensity, unless you can command that kind of magnetism, unless you can get me to follow you, you have an iPhone. There's, like Steve Jobs, it's like his vision is like, think differently. I'm not the same as those boring PC people, right? And it was like, there was a famous commercial in the 80s where like all these gray, mindless people were walking through, and this guy swings a big sledgehammer and breaks the TV screen where Big Brother was talking. And it's like, we're original, we're not conformists, we're different, and that if you believe in my tribe, then follow me. So that's an origin story, okay? That talks about your values. And so you're trying to attract people at the values level. So you need to have a clear purpose. You have to encapsulate that into an origin story. Usually it's going to be like the hero's journey, like we talked about. And then I want to say one final thing. You have to have a unique editorial voice. All right. Most companies have marketing happy talk.
Blunt.
Like, we are the world's leading solution provider for, bullshit. Nobody talks like that, right?
It doesn't work.
So if I ask you, all of our customers, when we used to run my agency, we'd ask them a simple question. What are 3 adjectives that describe your editorial voice? They can't answer it. And so what if it was, we're reliable, we're safe, and we're trusted? Okay, that might be one brand, okay? Another one might be, we're honest, we're funny, and we're cutting edge. Okay, that's a very different brand. But the point is, whatever content comes out of your company, from your logo, to your website, to your email marketing, to your advertising, all of that has to have that editorial voice, so they can instantly, in this big crowd of different ad impressions coming at us, they say, oh, that's those people. And that is one of the cheapest things that you can do to improve your marketing, is to have a consistent editorial voice. But you have to apply it to every single touch point, from how you answer the phones to your on-hold music or whatever. Yeah. Every touch point has to be in that editorial voice. And you have to have a clear editorial voice.
Yeah, and that's branding, right? Like,
yes, I mean, I guess you could say it's branding, but again, it's tied to the origin myth. It's tied to it's tied ultimately to your audience and understanding what kind of people you're trying to attract.
So first step, understand your customers.
Understand your customers. First is select a narrow group of customers.
And then the group that you're going to serve.
Yeah, then understand them, and then design messaging and products and business models and everything else to speak to those people.
That's
simple.
It seems simple.
But it's backwards. Everybody's doing the product-led company. Right?
Yeah. It's something that kind of bothers me. Not just about that. I think about the whole growth thing, like, because I really stand for something that is sustainable growth, because I've seen it, like, what it can do if you try just to grow, like, like crazy, and you will not have the same results as you're expecting,
Yeah. No, usually if you have rapid growth, what follows it?
Oh, yeah.
Collapse.
Yeah. Because you are just making things happen faster. And
well, the way I think about it is like, they're gymnasts, like they're very strong.
Right.
But it's like if you're a little kid and you give some kid steroids to make them a better gymnast, and they get big muscles, but what it actually does, this is true, like the male gymnasts, it actually they're not all short to start with. But because their muscles grow so fast, it makes their bones more compressed. They can't grow as fast. That's why a lot of them end up being little. I mean, yes, you start with the little guys anyway, the ones that look smaller. But the point is, you can actually do damage by giving them giving them the growth hormone and the steroids.
Yeah, but the whole thing about that is that companies that look growth without any compromise, actually, they just want to grow, they are really trying to do an exit, right?
Yeah, so basically what it is,
it's
about being a con man. It's like saying, I'm going to grow, it's going to look really good, then we're going to dump it on someone else and get paid,
exactly.
Then we're going to leave. And then everybody else cleans up the mess.
So it's like Cinderella, I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to live, and I'm going to be the queen, hey, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's not the kind of world I want to live in, where companies operate like that.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about that, we're talking about people, we're talking about customers, but essentially people, This book, A Mentira da Racionalidade. How's it called in English?
It's actually, that's the name of chapter 1 in the book. In English, it's called Unleash Your Primal Brain.
All right.
Demystifying how we think and why we act. Now, the subtitle is the same. Demistificando nosso modo de pensar y por qué agimos como agimos. And so that subtitle is the same, okay? But they changed it to reflect chapter 1's title. And basically, what I'm talking about here is that we like to think we're logical. We like to think we're reasonable. We like to think we're not. So if you want to understand how human beings act, you actually have to look at the primal brain, the unconscious part. And in fact, you have to retrace the whole arc of evolution, because there's some things that we share with insects. There's other things we share with reptiles, and then other mammals, and some we only share with great apes, and a lot of things that make us bizarrely human. And so this book, in a very readable way, describes that whole arc of evolution so you can understand human behavior. And so this works for, of course, business people, marketing, leadership, sales. This works for relationships, corporate culture, and so on.
Let's talk about life.
And then finally, like, it also works as a personal thing. I talk about sleep, for example, and drugs and addiction.
And I want to talk about that now.
Sure. Yeah. So basically, this is the way I think about the book. This is the operating system for how to be a human being. If you want to understand how to be a better human being, all 8 billion of us on the planet need to read this book.
Yeah, and we're talking about one thing specifically, which was sleeping. Right?
Yes, I have a whole chapter on sleep.
Gosh. Yeah. So, what does not sleeping well does with your body?
Wow. Well, after 16 hours, your brain basically starts to break down. Okay, you can't function without sleep. Every form of life on Earth that lives longer than a few days sleeps, has some form of sleep. Human beings, because we have the most complicated brains, we actually need extra rest. It's like daily life support. You can't go without sleep. If you shortchange your sleep, that's even bad. So if you have 2 6-hour days of sleep in a row, that's the same as missing a full night of sleep. Imagine what it's like if you stayed up for 36 hours with no sleep.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, right. You've done that. And so
it's not good.
No, it's not good. So 2 back-to-back nights of 6 hours of sleep has the same effect on you. And your bad things happen. You don't know how to read people's facial expressions. You think they're aggressive towards you and that they mean you harm. You overreact to them. You can't learn anything. You literally, if you don't sleep after you learn or study something, whether it's a physical skill or information, you won't retain it. Sleep is so important. Think about this. There's no major psychiatric condition that doesn't involve a sleep disturbance.
My God.
Depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, all of those involve a sleep disturbance. Something is not working because you're not getting that sleep. So it's absolutely critical. Everybody needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep. You should go to bed at the same bedtime, not stay up on the weekends. Sorry. And if you want to lose weight, if you want to be a more effective leader,
even for
if you want to
weight,
be more creative, absolutely. You literally can't lose weight unless you're getting proper sleep.
Why is that?
Because of the chemicals, the stress chemicals and cortisol in your body.
My gosh. That's so simple. And at the same time, that's so shocking, because most of us, myself included, we sometimes think, hey, I can go with, 2-3 hours of sleep and keep on going,
You've heard about the 4 a.m. club?
Exactly, 4 a.m. club.
Super achievers.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm not.
Well, no, by the way, if you want to join...
I tried.
If you want to join the 4 a.m. club, you can. But go to bed at 8 o'clock, and then you get 8 hours of sleep. That's okay. But actually, no, we have biorhythms. We're supposed to sleep at certain times. And the problem is we have artificial lights. We have our phones and screens we're looking at. So it completely changes from our circadian rhythms, which are tuned to when it's light and dark in the world. And that's what we're designed for. That's what we evolved for. So we've broken that link. So the best thing you could do is have a quiet nighttime routine where you start turning down the lights, where you don't watch screens for an hour before you go to bed or something like that. And then you want to recapitulate all the good things that happened during the day. Because when you're dreaming, you process the last hour of your day 5 to 6 times more than the rest of the day combined. So you can consciously load things into your awareness before you go to sleep. Creative problems you want to solve, or being grateful. Like a lot of people say grace. They say, I'm happy for my mom and my kids and everything else. That's really good stuff to do before you go to sleep.
My gosh, that's groundbreaking, really, because when you think about that, hey, I don't know, I may be not learning the amount of things that I read, because I read, I learn, I have some ideas. But then I go to sleep and then you
probably don't go to sleep. You doom scroll through Facebook or you watch another Netflix show.
So that's what you're going to remember
short sleep. Our sleep is very tail weighted more at the end of the night to get the very important REM sleep. So if you don't sleep more than 6 hours, you're not getting that REM sleep. And so basically cheating yourself of that last hour to 2 of sleep is the worst thing you can do. So just put down your phone. Actually, the best advice I can give you about sleeping, don't keep your phone in your bedroom.
Oh, my.
Everybody's like, oh, my God, what did you just say? That's crazy talk, right?
Oh, and it's like...
and then they start making up bullshit excuses like, oh, but my alarm clock is on my phone. Well, you know what? Pay 10 reais and buy a stupid alarm clock and put it in your bedroom and put your phone in the living room. No, they've actually shown this in terms of productivity, even at the office. If your phone is in the same room, not even within sight of you, in the same room, you're going to be more distracted. You literally need to have your phone in another room if you want to focus.
Yeah, I feel that. Like one thing that
It's like the Tolkien, like the Rings of Power and the Lord of the Rings. It has a pull on you. Yeah, that phone is evil.
But one thing that I noticed, I still have my phone all the time with me, but one thing that I noticed is that when I turn off all the notifications, so I don't have no one ever notification me for nothing. If someone's really needs to talk to me and they know me, they're gonna call me, and that's the thing, they're gonna call me, because if they send a message, probably I won't even see.
Actually, I'm just the opposite. I have all of my notifications turned off on the phone. If you want to get a hold of me, you should message me. I don't get notified about it. Yeah. Then I'll call you back. I don't want the phone ringing. I don't want it to take control of my life. Oh yeah, but it doesn't
ring even when you call, because it's just zzz.
No, not even a vibration. Yeah. No, I don't want to. So like once I was working with this company, and I do this executive marketing advisory. I work with senior executives at a company on call. Basically, they can just call me up anytime they want, and we can talk as long as they want on Zoom meetings. We record it. They can have their team members on it, but it's unlimited access to me. Okay. But one time, the CEO of this company said, "Well, great, I'll work with you, and but you have to sign up on our Slack channel." And I said, "No, I'm not working with you, because I'm not going to be tied to anything. I don't want any notifications, interruptions. Yeah. That's not how I want to live my life."
I can say that. Yeah. My Slack is the only thing that I keep on. Seriously, but that's real good. And what other tips would you have? It's in this book as well, right?
The sleep. Well, there's a whole chapter. I mean, the book, like I said, covers the whole arc of evolution. So I start about talking about how the rational brain is not in charge, what's really going on, memory and learning, different drugs, chemicals in our brain. Yeah. And then I move into talking about fear and loss avoidance and survival stuff. And then I talk about the herd instinct and dominance. And then I talk about all the uniquely human things like storytelling, our highly social natures, how we evolved to spread culture. That's some of the most interesting. Gender differences. It's all in there. And it's a very readable book because I designed it also to be an audiobook. So I originally read it out loud, and in English there's an audiobook version, but in Portuguese it's the same translation. Right? Yeah, but in Portuguese there's the paperback and there's the ebook, but still the writing style, there's no jargon, there's no footnotes, there's no bullshit. Yeah, it's a very readable book, even though it has a lot of information.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
And when you say, "Hey, I have this hack," because this is a hack, like I'm going to sleep 8 hours a day. It wouldn't be like, I don't know, 20 years ago, but now it is. Yeah. So my hack is now sleeping 8 hours a day.
Sleep 8 hours a day, 7 to 9.
Yeah. 7 to 9.
By the way, take an early afternoon nap. Our bodies are designed to have a low point in our biorhythms around 1:30 in the afternoon. Most people think it's because you eat a lunch and then you're full. No, you actually have sleep pressure at that time of day, and if you take even a short nap, your performance will be way better after a short nap. Yeah, so you build that into your workday. Don't skip the napping.
Don't skip the napping.
No.
Yeah,
and it could be a half hour. It doesn't have to be a long nap.
What other tips would you have for us?
Well, one of the things, again, it's kind of obvious, but I talk a lot about brain chemistry. Certain drugs like opioids and cannabinoids and
are those good for you?
Well, they're not good or bad. Your body produces them, so they're necessary for survival.
Right.
So, for example, if you had to run away from an animal that was attacking you, but it ripped your arm off, so you have a choice. You can run away and then deal with that later, or you can try to fix the hurt in your arm. So some things are there to delay pain, for example, so you can run away and survive, okay? So those chemicals are released, the pain suppression ones, endorphins, but some people take it to an illogical extreme, like they want runner's high. They want to keep running till they feel endorphins. What that really means is you're damaging your body.
But I gotta tell you, I used to be a professional football player when I was younger, 18 years old. And I used to feel that rush, the endorphins and stuff, and it was amazing. Really, it was amazing. I don't feel that anymore.
No, but all of that stuff is produced by your body for a reason. What I'm saying is, one of my advice points is never use artificial amounts of that.
Okay.
You know,
okay,
because
yeah.
you're rewiring your brain completely. Because like dopamine, for example, it's the thing that gives us energy to go after rewards. It's not the happy chemical. It's just like, should I spend more energy to go after a reward? Okay. Now, dopamine is useful for that, but if you completely miscalibrate your brain by taking external forms of stuff that will trigger it, you know, that's a problem. Or oxytocin, which is like our mother's child bond, and also like keeping away from strangers. You go to a rave and you can take MDMA, Molly, you know, this, and it's like, oh, you feel like everyone's your friend or something, but then your brain never goes back to normal. A lot of these addictive drugs, they permanently change your brain. So try to avoid, those drugs exist in your body for survival reasons, but if you give, you know, 100 times as much opioid to somebody as their brain is producing, it's a permanent change.
Yeah, but what happens when you do that, like with your body, without the drugs, without the external drugs? Because the chemicals are there already,
the chemicals are there, they're doing their job. That's fine. If your body's producing it, that's fine.
Even if we are, like the example I was giving,
well, the runner's high, or
so because it was amazing, you know, like, so I would exercise just because of that. That was like, I was on, you know, some dope, because it was real good.
It was dope, yeah.
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah.
But I've seen it with different people from different areas as well. They do that, you know, just because they want to feel the high.
So right, but so this is also has to do with gambling, because that's another dopamine issue. So that chemical, it affects risk taking. And so a lot of problem gamblers or sex addicts and stuff like that, they have a dopamine dysregulation.
Really?
Yeah. And so one of the things is, like if you take them off of that, they're going to be much more likely to get addicted to things. So for example, like I said, so there's dangers with some of these things. Going back to sleep, for example, you're much more likely to have poor decision making and get re-addicted to drugs if you're sleep deprived. So there's relationships between sleep and drugs also. So just to come back to that, so just things to be aware of.
Yeah.
Get sleep, stay away from drugs. I mean, it's probably what your mom told you, but you didn't. But you weren't listening to her.
But anyways, that's real good actually, and good insights as well. I mean, we can use that inside our lives, and we can use that as well to kind of premeditate what we are going to do about our customers, right? How we can treat them. How would you use that to make a better journey for your customer, or prepare something that would really serve them and help them out? Just knowing what they're going through, you know? How would you deal with that?
Well, one of the keys to persuading people, and you asked about this earlier, how do you get them to push the button? It's all emotional. So come back to the title of the book, The Lie of Rationality.
Yeah.
We never make a logical decision. Let me say that again, because we never make a logical decision. All the conscious brain does is give us options. You can do this, 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 or this. You know how it gets prioritized and decided? By the strength of the reaction, by the body response, like your body, your memories, your emotions, everything, okay? Yeah. The stronger the reaction, the more likely you need to do something about it. Because most of the time the brain is just conserving energy, and the answer is do nothing, because this thing that's happening has no effect on my survival.
Oh my.
And so the only way to influence people is emotionally. So anyone that says, well, our gold plan, you know, if you prepay for it, instead of 10 hiais a month, you can prepay for 100 hiais a year. Well, that's making me do math, and I'm not Mr. Spock. You know, we're all emotional. Okay, so the only way to persuade people is by triggering strong emotions. And the only way to trigger strong emotions is to know what their values are and what their triggers are. Wow. Again, going back to understanding your customers and the very narrow niches.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. But it must take time as well, because like you're gonna let's you know, like if you bring that to a company, they're gonna see, hey, okay, I have to do that, but we don't have time. I need to make that amount of money, and that's it. And I'm coming back to this question because we spoke a little bit earlier about that, but how do you deal with that, being a marketer, or being SEO or CRO or growth or
so sometimes you can,
any areas.
you know, like the problem is we think that through experimentation and tactical changes we can make the necessary changes. You can't. It's the same as like taking one of those early wood airplanes, you know, and then turning it into a high-performance jet while you're flying it. It's not possible. I'm sorry, no amount of split testing or optimization is going to get you there. So sometimes what you need to do is, okay, optimize your current stuff, and it's shit, but you know, try to make it a little less smelly, okay? Right. And then meanwhile, build out a completely new website that understands your customers, supports the customer journeys, that has email marketing and you know, triggered stuff, email sequences that understand who the people are, that has personalization built into it. Build a completely new thing and then launch it, okay? I know it's expensive and it's high risk, but it's a lot better than not knowing your customers and keep trying to you know, make the piece of crap less smelly.
So we shouldn't do like an MVP and just launch something.
No, I think that's completely backwards.
Yeah.
I think you should understand your customer segments,
right.
Understand the complete customer journey and what they care about at each stage. And I have an audit my agency used to do for this. And then say what pieces of content support that. How are they gated? What information are we asking for? What's the next micro conversion? You have to carefully design these customer journeys to be of use to people.
So it's really designed. Yeah. It's well thought in not just...
Well, but with a lot of input. It's not like I'm designing this like Steve Jobs or whatever by myself in a garage somewhere. No, it's a lot of feedback and understanding. So the first thing you should do after you pick your audience is spend a lot of time with them. Where do these people live? What's their center of gravity? Yeah. You know, how do they think? What's important to them besides what you can do for them? Yeah. So spend a lot of time with your customers. Get out of your office. Well, right now we're probably all in our home offices, but still. Yeah. Go talk to your customers. That's my bottom line on everything.
Amazing. And well, we are really glad again to have had you here. We're gonna finish now, but before we finish, I'd like you to say a few words to everyone that is watching, who is seeing you now.
Remember, marketing is about being of service to people. It's that simple. So focus on your customers, not inside of your company. And if you want more information about me, I'm easy to find. You can go to timash.com for my consulting and speaking. And then primalbrain.com is the website that's focused on the book. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I hope to see you guys at a keynote here in Brazil very, very soon. Obrigado, Brazil.
Amazing. Thank you very much, mate.
My pleasure.
Real good. Thank you very much. And for all of you, para todos vocês que estão aqui assistindo a gente, muito obrigado de novo. Valeu pelo tempo que a gente passou junto. Foi demais. E não perde o próximo capítulo, porque vai ser melhor ainda. Cada um melhor que o outro. Pode ficar junto com a gente. Vai ser um prazer ter você junto com a gente lá. Então é isso. Muito obrigado. Um grande abraço. A gente se vê. Bora crescer.
Tchau.
Amazing.
Two guys with big mouths, so we can keep talking.